Okay, I will be editing a book that I started writing around 2017 on my video, in a video. And the name of the book that I'm doing is, it will be in two books, okay? The first, and both books are named How to Erase Rape. Well, the message of the two books is How to Erase Rape and How Can Boys and Girls Change Sex, okay? And I started writing this book in 2017. That doesn't include my my observation and my studies. Okay, I started studying transsexuality or modifying our body or the human body period since 1986. Okay, when I wanted to change sex. Okay, and. Anyways, so and this book, okay, and also I'm also writing this book on video, okay. So it's the same thing. This is the book itself, okay. And I even edit just today, this morning, the title. Also, I raised mothers because the message is to everybody. It's to boys, girls, their father and their mother. And it's how to erase rape and how can a boy and a girl change sex, okay? And it's quite easy for both of them. We can actually put rapes at zero throughout the world, and it's quite easy. The only thing we have to do is take conscious why do heterosexual boys and heterosexual men rape girls and women, okay. So now I'm a comic book artist. This book, actually I've been writing it since 2009. And the first form of it was but it wasn't talking about rape. It was just talking how a boy could change sex, could look like a woman. And it was a comic book series in 2009 that I've drawn, okay? And it has like 5 books, okay? Which comes up to about 150 pages. The second series, which comes up to 17 books, which comes up to about close to 500 pages, okay, I started off 2011. I haven't finished the series. The series is supposed to go, I would say, till 34 books, or maybe not more than 50, maybe 44 books, I'm not too sure, okay, but definitely 34 books, okay. And to produce these books, the second book, I will explain it, it's explained in that book, and I will explain it on another video, okay. And like I said, I've been studying transsexuality, how to feminize our body, and also how to masculinize our body for boys and girls since 1986, okay? And because the first thing I wanted, because I read the psychologist, sexologist, and the psychiatrists, and some biologists have written, and it's all negative. Okay, in the sense that male pattern baldness is irreversible. A man, and the worst is that a man cannot live without penetrating a woman. Okay, a man cannot live without having sex with a woman. Okay, or heterosexual man, that is. Okay. And that stuck in my mind, so I had to study. And also in 1989, I had this psychiatrist when I was going through a lot, and I wanted to, and then I went an anti-androgen at first, and he told me, "You're too old and you don't look like a woman." That was like in 1989. At the time, I was like 26. Okay, and also I met like 5 other doctors after, medical doctors after that, and they were just as hostile as this guy, this doctor, this psychiatrist, okay, in 1989. So when I told myself, well, you know, medical doctors are not psychologists and psychiatrists and sexologists are not a bowl of cherry. So I said I might as well try to feminize myself, like alone, okay, and by myself, and I had to study. So it's a study that I haven't finished studying. I read like, just on the biology of the human body, I read like about close to 1,000 experimental paper and meta-analysis, and also a biology book on cellular biology book, plus the human body, the human anatomy. Also, not just for transition, but also for my comic books, because like I need to know where the muscles go, and I also the storyline. Okay, I'll put my comic book stories on video also. Okay, that would be later. And it's quite easy to erase rape. All we have to do is to be aware why do heterosexual boys and why do heterosexual men rape girls and women, okay? The reason why I say heterosexual men and heterosexual boys are the rapists is because 100% of the rapist population are heterosexual boys and heterosexual men, and only 0.1% are homosexual men, and 0.1% are homosexual women, and 0.1% are heterosexual women, okay? And what I did is I rounded up to 100. Okay, so I just rounded up because it was like 0.3% of rapists are not heterosexual men or boys, okay, nor boys. Okay, so this is the reason why, okay, this is the reason why I'm only talking, that I say it's like 100% of rapists are heterosexual men, including boys. Okay. Now how to the book? Okay, the book is on text book form or text form, and then like I haven't finished. Okay, these are the comic, but I haven't finished the drawings, and I'm not too pleased with the drawings, so I'll come back. I'll do the drawings on my videos. I'll video my drawings, which is a part of the editation of my book. Okay, because like I've written this book. It took, like, I edited this book about like at least 15 times. So I don't know, this editing that I'm doing right now, I don't know what number of that this edition that I'm doing. Maybe 17, maybe 20, maybe 15. I don't know. Okay, so now talking, why do heterosexual boys and heterosexual men rape? And there are 3 forces. Okay, I'll start with the second force, this in strength, then the third force, and then the first force and the strongest. Okay, now let's see here. I'm gonna do in blue because it's cooler. Okay, so as a matter of fact, yeah, I'm gonna do this. Yeah, blue. Okay, now you have, this is the first force. Okay, whoops. Okay, now this is the this is the brain of an heterosexual man or heterosexual boy. Okay? Or the soul, or his soul. Okay? This is the soul. And this is his brain. Okay, I don't know if you can see it. Oh yeah, there you go. His brain or his soul. Okay, so that's it. Now you have this. Okay, this is the first four. The first force. This is it. The force is like a wind that goes through. Okay. Now this is the second force, which is smaller. And this one here is the biggest force. Okay, so, and what produces these forces are biologists and sociologists. Okay, and here is mothers, the biggest. Well, actually, I'm going to go from the strongest. Okay. Now, where did I put that? There it is. I have to get the... Okay. Okay, now, 12 minutes. I'm going to go for a long time. Okay, so now the strongest of this group, of this force, is our aunts, then uncles, then mothers, then fathers. Okay. Now, okay. Now the reason why these two, and those, I would say unmarried, especially. Okay, unmarried for both of them. Okay, now they're basically incels. Okay, since they're incels, these aunts and uncles, they're not pretty. For some reason, they're not a good catch. And their celibacy depresses them. So what they do, they put that on, especially boys. Okay, they tell boys. Okay, I'll explain that. Okay, well, I'll explain that right now in a couple of minutes, in a couple of seconds. Now, this is the first. Okay, biologists and sociologists say, okay. A man cannot live with testosterone. Testosterone is the hormone of desire. Okay? A man cannot live without penetrating the vagina or the anus of a woman. Okay? And they say, you boys, as soon you start getting getting to 13 years old, your body will start producing lots of testosterone. And and girls' ass will start, you're going to be interested into girls' ass, okay? Basically, that's what they're saying, okay? Because it's biology, it's natural. And also, testosterone will make you big, tall, strong, and ugly. So you could scare off cave bears and other tribesmen, okay? That's the reason. Aunts, uncles, and mothers and fathers. Mothers and fathers will say to their boys, go have a life. Go and find a wife. Have sex with her. Make children. We want grandchildren. Okay. Aunts and uncles, especially the unmarried one, because they're ugly. And since they're not married, they don't have sex, or they have to pay for sex, especially for the uncle. And their celibacy depresses them. And his aunts really want girls to feel desire. Uncles, they want their nephews to be cool. So they'll tell boys, aunts and uncles will tell boys, aunts and uncles will tell boys, go and get the girl. Go and try to woo the girls. Try to woo the girls. Because they like that. For the aunts saying that. And because it's natural. Because the biologists and the sociologists said that. Okay? Basically, that's what the rationale. Okay, so this could be separated in a sense because it's almost the same, but it's different strength. The reason why the biologists and sociologists are their force of persuasion is much powerful than aunts, uncles, mothers, and fathers, because everybody sees them as as Merlins, Gandalfs, Panoramix, the druids, sorcerers, wizards, and Galileo, Leonardo da Vinci, and these people are, because they have been touched by God or the devil or Satan, and because since they have been touched by these two extreme beings, they know the secret of the universe. They know the reality of God or Satan. Okay. I'm sorry. Well, anyways, about Satan, I'm sarcastic. But anyways, so we tend to believe them blindly. And since we believe them blindly, it has an effect. It has a format on our brain, our soul, on both of them. Okay. Now, and aunts and mothers and fathers really want us to have a life. You say if you didn't get married, you didn't get kids, you haven't lived. Okay, biologists would say the same thing too. Biologists and sociologists, if you boys didn't had sex with a beautiful girl or a beautiful woman, you didn't during your young life, you didn't live at all. You're undead. Okay, that's what they're saying. Well, it seems. Okay, aunts and uncles, which are unmarried because they're ugly, and they're pushing boys for no matter what to woo the girls, so the girls feel desirable. They're wooing because they don't care, because their celibacy does not depresses them, and at the same time they want their nephews to be cool, and for the aunts they want all girls and women to feel desirable because they're not desirable. Okay, so basically, now the first force, which is the strongest force, is the love of femininity. But you are or are not. Okay? So basically, the love of femininity okay, the love of femininity will push boys and men to rape women. Okay. Now now I'll say some anecdotes about myself. When I took conscious that two of my aunts and a friend were telling me, go and have sex with girls, because if you don't do that while you're young, you have not lived your life. You wasted your time. Okay, two of my aunts said that. A friend of mine says to me, if you don't fuck a babe once a week, well, I'm not going to be your friend. Or a different babe, a different one, a beautiful different one. So I harassed girl for sex for about, like, during my 20s. And when I took conscious that like 3, 4, 5, 10 people, 50 people, well, I would say up to these 3 people, 2 aunts and a friend, and then maybe 5 others or 10 others were pushing me to have sex with girls so I could be cool, or I could be living, or I could fulfill, or I could be living, actually, or whatever. When I took conscious, my libido, my desire to have sex with girls and women, disappeared. It went out through the window. My libido went out through the window. Like I said, there was no point. I'm doing it for people. Of course, I love femininity. I'm attracted to femininity. Of course, but it's not. But this is what was pushing me. Now the love of femininity, but you are not, okay? Basically, like I said, I started to be transsexual in 1986. Now the reason why is that, hold on. Yeah, like it came up like that, okay. And because the reason why is because it's to be at ease with my image. Okay, I wanted to feminize my body for the simple reason I want to forget my body, in a sense. I don't want to be conscious about my body. If I forget I have femininity into my body, I don't look at the other girls. I don't need it. I don't try to engrave their image into my mind. I don't try to go with them, because I've been sort of stalking women or girls since I was 12, now and again, okay, because I wanted to be their feminine. Like, I want to engrave their image into my mind, and then I become them, okay. I want to dream that I was them, okay. And also, I had trouble studying university because I was, I was conscious about my body. So, and also I wanted to be feminine, because when you're in a romantic or sexual relationship, the person you're attracted to is not only important, but it's what type of head and body you have. If you don't like your head, you don't like your body, you're not gonna enjoy sexuality as much. Okay, so this is the reason why I wanted to transition. I want to feminize my body so I could forget about everything. I could excel also professionally in my studies, in my comic book author, and also my studies in science, biology, whatever. Okay, so this is the reason. Okay. Now, okay, so these are the 3 forces. Okay, but this is the biggest force. Okay, this accounts for maybe about 60% of rapes. This one, I would say like 40%. They do overlap, okay? And this one is like 20%. But bear in mind, all these overlap to each other, okay? So that's like 120, like if you add them together, it comes up to 120%, okay? So, okay, and these are force going through your brain and your soul, okay? And, okay, so there's this. Okay, so now, okay, now I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna erase this. Now, my love about my body, because like I'm very autoerotic in the sense that it's important for me to love my body, to like to smell it, to the feeling of my body. Okay, that it's like, I mean, it's been there since like I was like 3 years old. Okay, or even 2 years old. Okay. Okay, so. Okay. Unfortunately, oh yes, I do. Okay, I do have a dry one. Okay, now hopefully I could. Okay, no, finally. Okay, so now, like I was laying on bed, okay, when I was about like, I think it was like maybe 5.5, 4.5, 5.5. Okay, 5.5. Okay, I was laying in bed, and okay, but no. But the problem is, like at the time, I became conscious of my hips, and I didn't like them because I thought they were like too narrow. Like I don't know, maybe like even now, like I find them too narrow, but at the same time they're not as narrow as most men out there, okay, but they're too narrow for my taste, like I would have. And that was like 5, I think it was like 5.5, or maybe 4.5, maybe. I think it could have been 4 actually. Yeah, 4. Okay, I was 4 years old. Okay, let's see, I'm not too sure. Okay, and then another time, okay, so like I became conscious about my hips. Okay, now I went to kindergarten, and I was very conscious about my hair. I was very conscious about the uniform that I wore, or the pants. I didn't like them at all. And no, I mean, I don't know, there's something about it. Like, I mean, I can't say, like, I was conscious about everything, okay, when I was in kindergarten, when I went to kindergarten at that time. And then when I went to the first grade, okay, first grade, okay, at the time I was like 4.5 to 5 years old. Okay, I'm not sure, like around that time. And there was a girl that was sitting. Right beside a tall girl. Okay. And let's put it okay. Doesn't seem right. Okay. Okay, she was sitting on her desk right beside me. Okay, that's her. She has her shirt. And hold on. Okay, that goes her here. And then she had a schoolgirl. Okay, a schoolgirl. Here's her desk, and she was taller than me, and she had long blonde hair, and it's just the whole image, but especially the blonde, the long hair. Since then, like I mean, I engraved her image into my body, into my mind and soul. And then for about 2 weeks, I was dreaming, I was seeing her in my dreams. At the same time, I was like her. Okay. I wasn't her, but I was like her. I looked like her. Or I had the same long hair. I had long hair, okay, in the same uniform, okay. But the long hair stuck into me. Since that age, I always wanted to have long hair, and my father never let me. Until like I was 14. That's when I was starting having long hair, when I was 14. And then like a lot of people were on my back to have it cut. And by 15 I had it cut. Then I was getting back long again. By 16 I had it cut. Like it was like that. Okay. So it was like I always wanted to have long hair. Okay. So this image stayed into my mind a long time ago. And at one time I started liking American Native people, men and women also, at that time. And then the Chinese women. And when I was 12, there was a teacher. 12 years I was on grade secondaire 1. Okay. First secondary. That's in Quebec. Okay. Okay, so that was like it's grade 12 for it's actually grade 12. We jumped. There's grade 8 doesn't no grade 12 is grade 8 altogether, and grade 7 does not exist. Okay, so secondaire 1 is actually grade 12. Grade 12 or at that time, and if you count from first grade to grade 6, then you go to grade 7, and grade 8 is actually, yeah, it's not grade 12, but it's a grade, secondaire 1 is grade 8, okay, grade 8, okay, so there was the Vietnamese women and Asian women. She was a math teacher, and I really like her image. And every time I was walking, when during the lunch hour, or every time I had to change course, okay, or classrooms, I always walk where the teacher's hallway, just so I could have a glimpse of her, and then at the same time I could engrave her image into my mind. Okay, for some, I don't know what I was going to do with these engraved image, basically at the time, okay? And it always been now and again like that, throughout my life up to like when I was about 30, when I was about 26, or even a little bit beyond about that time. That's when I decided I wanted to feminize my body, and then I started reading a lot of it, okay? So what I'm trying to say is that the first force, which is the biggest force, is that, and I have seen that behavior in me. And also when I had sex with my ex-wife when I was like in 19, and then another girl when I in my early 20s, okay? I always, when I was having sex, like I closed my eyes and I was transposing my soul into her body, and I was thinking I was a woman, and then like I changed the setting, I changed her body, I changed my body, and I changed the whole setting. I was like using her femininity so I could be feminine into another fantasy. It's like silly. I mean, but I noticed that behavior. I noticed that to especially French men, okay, or comic book artists, French men, and also film producer, Frenchmen film producers, and also not as much as or Japanese comic book artists, okay, or Japanese, like when they do stories, when they do female characters, you get that feeling that they're trying to live through their femininity of their characters, that dawned on me around like 2000, when I was heavily into comic books, and I started getting into 2000, let's say 2005, when I got heavily on the Franco-Belgian comic books, and then from 2005, right up to 2017, like I noticed that among comic book artists of Japan and in France, especially France, Quebec a little bit less, and the Anglo-Saxon world, a little bit less than Quebec or French Canadian. So I noticed that, and also another thing about I noticed through Frenchmen, especially Frenchmen again in France. The white one, it doesn't seem to be, I don't seem to see that among the Arabs and the Asians, and also maybe the Germanic people living in France. It's especially the Frenchmen, I see that a lot. Okay, the white Frenchmen, which the Gaulois stock, or the Celtic stock, okay. And they seem to be married they seem to live through the femininity or the body of their wife. They tell their wife, well, wear skirts. They're like, I heard that in Quebec also. A French Canadian woman in Quebec told me the same thing. My husband is forcing me. He doesn't want to see me in pants or anything like that. Or in pants. You only want to see me in dresses or skirts. And they seem to live the femininity they want through the femininity of their body, or of their wife, or the body of their wife, okay? And the same thing, and I get that feeling about their, and in French it's called soupçon. I can't remember in English. It's I think it's not the right word than soupçon. But I think that they're living, when they're having sex with their wife, they're living inside the body of their wife. They're feeling their femininity. They're feeling the body of their wife. It's not the personality of their wife that, well, it could be, but they become, basically when they're having sex to their wife, they become her. Okay, it seems that way. Okay, because what I remember about my own behavior since I was like 4.5 or 4 years old, okay, with my hips. I see it in other men, especially the French, the Gaulois man in France, the Frenchman, the white Frenchman with dark brown hair. Okay, I'll explain that later. Okay, so basically, okay. Now coming back to how they look, so they're too it depends by the person. Like, I mean, when you watch porn, when you read comic books with female characters, they're half nude. They could be nude. It could be pornography, or it could be just like they're wearing dresses or skirts or shorts. They have a different mindset. They're not macho. It's a bit stalking in a sense, okay? Or when you leer at women, when you stalk women or girls. When I say girl is when you're a boy, okay? I would say women because like when you're not. I know I see that in others, okay? So like I'm not talking about girls and women now. Women stalking men, or like right now, like I'm concentrating myself on boys and men, okay, for this book. I'll get to the girls and women later on the third part of the book, okay. Now, so this is why I have hypothesized or theorized this first strongest force. Now, depending on the mentality of the boy or the man, there's like several types of rape, okay, that I came to distinguish. There's like this one. There's like stalking, leering. Okay, I'll come back to it. Like I won't be showing a lot of the data today, okay? But I'll come up to the data in other videos, and it will be definitely eventually it will be on the book, on both language of the book, the French version and the English version, okay? Because I have the French version here. Okay, now. So, okay, now there's different types of rapes, okay? There's the soft rape, and then there's the blood rape, or violent rape. Violent rape, okay, soft rape. Okay, soft rape, I'm gonna go it's, okay, there's like stalking, leering. I'm gonna start from touching here. Okay, touching, smelling. Okay, it goes from bad to very soft. Okay, this is smelling. Um, okay, watching pornographic, and here is reading. Whoops. Reading comic books. Okay, comic books. And drawing comic book. And transition. Okay, all these, okay, they are the last two here. Okay, the last three. There's even a feminist. Well, there's even a feminist that mentioned about these two. These, she said like she's really against pornography, and she has written a book called her name is Rana. Her last name is Rana. She says, "En finir avec." The title of her book, which her family name is Rana, and it's called "En finir avec la culture du viol." Okay, en finir avec la culture du viol. Okay, I haven't bought the book yet. Okay, but she in the forum she says why can't they? It would be better that we tell them to either read comic books or mangas, or comic books of like Franco-Belgian or European comic books, British American comic books, or Sino-Japanese, Korean comic books, for example, sex books, because it doesn't involve girls or women at all, because it's just drawings. Okay, there's that. I mean, that would be a compensation. But pornographic, it involves women in it. Okay, and especially when it's produced by men. Okay. And then, of course, leering, stalking, smelling, touching, and involves women in there too. So it's a little bit violent, but there's no blood. Okay. And then transition, I came up to transition. Well, I don't know what transition. Okay, that's another reason. That's another. It's a soft rape, because in a sense, it doesn't involve a woman's body, because it's your body. Okay, it's the boy's or man's body for that. Okay, so okay, now the violent rape or the blood rapes. Okay, you have like prostitution. Okay, because there's penetration. Okay. And then you have like outright, and there's like you have a coercive rape. Okay, coercive, like psychological coercive, or mass coercive, like you're using your muscle, your mass. The man or uses his muscles or his weight, his mass, his size to force himself upon a woman. Okay. And then you have the blood rape, okay, which the blood rape are the rape that they use a weapon, they hit the women. There's blood flowing, there's ripping going on, and it could go right up to murder, which like a lot of the serial killers do. Okay, those are the worst. Okay, and one thing I have to add, okay, I'll show the data. So, the Anglo-Saxon, among the Anglo-Saxon world, okay, if you add all these, okay, the French and probably the Japanese, especially the French, have the highest number of rape in the world, because like you look at their films, the pornography, they're really into part. They do a lot of touching in buses, smelling in buses. They touch the women and they smell the whatever. Okay, stalking, leering, pornography. That's like very widespread in France. And the pornography thing is really widespread in Japan. Okay, and then it's really widespread. Reading comic books, drawing comic books, it's really widespread. But transition is different, you'll see. Okay, it's really widespread in France. And also there's these, not exactly pornographic film, but there's like films about, female characters, a bit like Pretty Women, the American film Pretty Women with that actor and that actress there. Let's put it this way: about 70% of French films are the same sort as Pretty Women. It's all about one female character, and the male protagonist is like usually old, ugly, or a loser. Anyway, okay. Now, this is very high among the French. It's like maybe about like 20% more times than compared to the Anglo-Saxon, the British and American, British, Canadian, American, excluding Quebec, or maybe including Quebec. I'm not sure, but especially the French is very high, 20 times more than the British, Canadian, American society. Now, this is another thing here. This is about 3 times more, okay? I would say twice. Twice as more. Okay, this is a little bit different, okay? The coercive sex is twice more than the British, Canadian, just this. Or prostitution also. Okay, these two are 2 times more in the French world. Okay, but the blood rape, the one that use weapon or their fist, okay, and they're serial killers, it's about like, I would say 5 times in the Anglo-Saxon world. It's like 5 times more compared to the French, about this here. And here the French is like prostitution, penetration, coercive, is about like twice, almost, I would say almost like 1 to 1. I would say it was almost 1 to 1. Okay. No, like twice, because there's a lot of prostitution in France. There's a lot of like clients. Men tend to go for prostitution in France because it's almost like part of their culture. Okay. So this is those are the outcome. Okay, I mentioned the 3 fours. Those are the outcome. Okay. Now, those are the. I'm gonna try to. Okay, I'm gonna get her name. Now I'll get it later. I'll write it down. Melanie Renal, I'm not sure. Valérie Renal, I'm not sure. But Naomi Renal. Her name is Naomi Renal. She's the one who En finir avec la culture du viol, and she was the one that done a French feminist forum in France, which they went through everything, but they erased the whole forum. Okay, I don't know why. They had like very good information, even about computers, like of all things, like socially. Okay, so everything that I've written is like in the book, but like I'm giving you the skeleton of the book, the skeleton of my text, basically, which doesn't have the filler, which the filler is the data and the most and more explanation. Okay, when I'm going to do the French version of the video, I'm going to be very tired. Like my stamina is not that high these days. Okay. Okay, so let's see here. Now the solutions, which is quite easy. Okay, and the first thing, boys and girls should take conscious of that. And the parent, the father, the mother especially, and the father will have to give consciousness to their sons and daughters. Okay, so there are two main Naomi Ranau has mentioned two, and I have already mentioned the third one. Okay, so the solution is, okay, the first action. Second action. Okay. 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 So the first action is tell your sons. Okay. Or boys should read, or boys should take conscious of that, or man in general. But it's when it comes to adults, it's a little bit hard to, to change, especially their old ways. Okay, tell your sons that you basically cancel biologists and sociologists. You tell your sons you don't need sex. You could live without sex, and also you could have romance and other types of sex. But penetration. You don't need to penetrate somebody, okay? Don't need sex, penetration. Okay. Not essential. Sex is not essential. Not a vitamin. Okay. Testosterone is not an hormone of desiring women's ass. Okay, it's not that. Okay, it's not. Okay, those are a whole bunch. You just negate everything the biologists and sociologists say in their school, in their books, and also teachers which are biologists and sociologists. As a matter of fact, the one that teach math and that teach language, reading and writing to your children, they are part of the sociologists. They are sociologists in a sense. Okay, so you got to be careful. Sex, don't need penetration. Okay, not essential, not a vitamin. Testosterone is not an hormone of desiring women's ass. Okay, sex is never equal. Okay, desiring somebody, because it's impossible for somebody to want sex 100% at the same time of their wife or husband 100%. I mean, it like the coincidence of 100% desire desirability of both spouse, it's impossible. Okay, and also you'll never find the perfect woman. You'll never find the perfect man. Like that will be interested in you. You know you could go for a 10, let's say, like your 10, not the universal 10 does not exist. 10s are very personal, okay? And it's impossible that your 10, that the most beautiful, that the ultimate beautiful women will have an interest in you. Just, vice versa. It's very, it's extreme, it's almost like statistically or mathematically impossible that she'll reciprocate your interest towards you. Okay, it's like impossible. You'll have to say that to your son and the daughter. Okay, and basically, especially your son, but also your daughters, they should step down from sexuality. They should step down from the rat race, from the hookup culture. And the hookup culture is also trying to find a husband or a wife. It's part of that. Okay, they'll have to step down. Okay, there's a good reason why the Inca, the great Inca, or families throughout Europe and Asia will choose your wife or you choose your husband. You have to. It's a duty. You have to marry. The reason why, because if you let kids or young adults to go and try to find something, they'll never find it. It's impossible. So it has to be a duty. It depends what, if you want everybody to be married, but there is a way. There is a way. I'll explain that in another video. Okay. Now, there is a way, but for now, everybody has freedom. We're completely free of everything, of responsibility, everything. So it's impossible that we find the ultimate mate. Okay. So we have to take conscious of that. And we have to take conscious that biologists and sociologists are quacks. Okay. They're not perfect. They're not like ultimate fey beings or elves or how should I say, goblins, produced by God, the gods, and the demons and Satan and the devil, whatever. They're not. They're just human like us. They're not nobles. They're not Merlin. They're not Gandalf. They're not Panaromics of aesthetics the good way. They're not wizards or magical. They're not magical. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Now the second action is, okay, Naomi Ranal, as mentioned. Okay, let's say I'm going to mention just one, but it goes with reading. Okay, read. I'll write it down anyways. Read, draw comic books. Okay, sex comic books. Whoops, comic books. Okay, and second one, which is the most important, is transition to other sex. And there is a other sex, and it's quite easy. You don't need to mutilate your body. You don't need that. Okay. Now to become. Okay. Now, okay. Second action. Naomi Ranal says read, draw sex comic books. I say transition to other sex. Okay, that includes girls too. Okay, because once you don't have that anxiety to stalk women or stalk man, whatever, or stalk the person and you don't have that anxiety, and also you don't have the anxiety that that he or she will flush you out and will cheat on you or just flush you out because you're not beautiful and you don't find yourself beautiful. I mean, if you find yourself beautiful, okay, then he flushes you out. If you understand, okay, I'm not his 10, I'm not her 10. If you understand that, because being a 10, it doesn't, a 10, like I said, a universal 10 doesn't, I'll explain that right now. Okay. Okay. Now. Okay, now let's see here. Okay, now a 10. Okay, now I read when I was in 1983. I was in genetics, and I read in my genetics books. And my ex-wife mentioned that there are supposed to be one gene. Okay, I say one gene because I remember only one gene that has different alleles. Okay, alleles is it's a different molecule that goes into the locus. The gene is a locus, actually, the loci or loci. Okay. And that loci, that specific gene does one thing. Okay, and this specific gene tells you what attraction you have, who attracts you. Okay, and it says only two things. Either you're attracted to somebody that looks like you, so this could be same sex, same race. Okay. Okay, and then you have looks exotic, but there's a limit. You're not gonna go, having sex with a horse or whatever, or a dog, or a shark. Okay, exotic, meaning like different. Their facial features. You like their facial features. There's like facial features, okay, or body form, okay. And also there's culture that comes in. Okay, culture meaning your parents, your family, your society, and then films, books, and comic books. All three. Novels, films, comic books, or films, novels, and comic books. Okay, those are part, and that will influence your attraction. Okay, that comes in, and me personally, I'm not attracted towards French people or white people with dark brown hair. That looks French. Even France or French Canadian, because I don't want to be with somebody that looks like my father, my mother, my uncles, my aunts, and my cousins and my brothers. I don't have any sisters, but I don't like. I mean, people like I met a blonde girl that looks like my brother. My brother, no, like she was beautiful, but it looks like my brother. No, like I don't want that. Like I'll go for somebody that looks different, and mostly. Like I like people are different. The Asian, Amerindians, okay, Africans, and Nordiques. Nordiques are the German. Okay, somebody different. Okay, and that's important because of. If you go, I'm not attracted. If I had sister, I would be I'm not attracted to my cousins or my aunts or my mother. So this gene prevents you from having kids with somebody that has the same gene, like somebody has the same mutation as you, like it's dangerous. Okay, it's like congenital intercourse. No, like I mean it's dangerous because of the mutation we get. It could promote the bad mutation into a population, into our population. Okay, so that's the rationale behind it. Okay, but the things when you're attracted to people who look like you, is because you're attracted mostly to people who has the same thing, the same. I prefer somebody that's different. Okay, except like I'm not attracted to a capitalist. I'm not attracted to a psychopath or macho, somebody who kills animals or whatever. Like I'm not attracted to that. But like I am attracted to somebody who has the same point of view as me. And also in this case is somebody with the same cultures, same language. Me doesn't I mean I don't mind learning another language. I tried to learn Vietnamese, Chinese, and Japanese. Chinese and Vietnamese is Chinese is very easy, and I know how to read French, English, and Spanish. But I can't. I have trouble speaking Spanish. I have no problems with English and French. And Japanese is horrible. It's a horrible language to learn. And Vietnamese a little bit easier, but I'll explain that in another video. They're both horrible language to learn. It's not the language per se. The Japanese is a structure that sucks, but there's another reason the Japanese, it's the same reason as the Vietnamese. Which the reason why, and the reason is that when you learn Japanese or Vietnamese, it seems that you're learning a voluminous vocabulary. And that vocabulary is like a full set of vocabulary of like 3 to 5 languages. It's like horrible. Okay, so this is the reason why. Now, okay, now let's see here. Okay, what time is it? 1:12. Oh, yeah. I'm nearly finished. I'll be finished in about 15 minutes. Okay. Now, okay. Okay, where was I? Transition. Okay, for transitioning, it's quite easy for boys and girls. Transitioning, or men, or women, okay, is to raise your boy and or girl vegetarian. Okay, vegetarian in a sense of not eating beef and pork. Those are the biggest. And also do not eat sucrose nor sugary stuff. Okay. Now the reason why, okay, being vegetarian will give you a good body, a healthy body, but it won't extremely masculinize you for boys, and it won't extremely feminize you for girls. Okay. The reason why is because meat, especially pork and beef, and chicken to a certain extent, those are the biggest 3. Okay. You could cheese. You have to be careful, but they're good. Okay, because cheese has a lot of cholesterol, and cholesterol is a precursor of the sex hormones, which is progesterone, testosterone, and estrogen. Okay, those are the biggest things. Okay. Now, meat has a lot of proteins. Okay, too much proteins. So it takes long to break down. you get a upsurge of protein inside your body, and that upsurge will skyrocket testosterone or progesterone for girls. Okay. Okay, and then you're gonna have during your puberty, you're gonna have a lot of these, and plus it upsurge like insulin or like growth factors. Okay. Okay. Now these three molecules, especially these two. These two are the cause of acromegaly. Okay, acromegaly means that you're disproportionate. Like there's parts of your body, not your legs, because your legs, by the time you reach 21, your legs stop growing. Your epiphyseal plates get solidified because of estrogen, especially 17 alpha estradiol. Okay, 17 beta estradiol will make you grow faster, but it will deplete. You'll grow very fast in a short period of time, and then but immediately you won't have any more chondrocyte cells that will replicate, but you'll be tall. You might be like a little bit above average tall, okay, with 17 beta estradiol, okay. 17 alpha estradiol is another thing. If you have an upsurge of 17 alpha estradiol, you'll end up as a dwarf. It will stop your bones from it will solidify your growth plates, okay, your epiphyseal growth plates of your legs, of all the 4 bones of your legs. Let's see here. I have to check the names of. Okay. So I'm checking the anatomy and the physiology of the book. I have to check because it's ridiculous. Okay, where's the bone structure, AP9? There we go. Because I keep forgetting some of the words. Those are muscles. Okay, there you go. The system appendicular. Okay, I need the. There it goes. The foot. There's the foot. Okay, the tibia, the fibula, and the femur. Okay. Okay. Unfortunately. Okay. Anyway, they get it. Okay, those are the biggest ones. These ones are they're the first one to get solidified. The epiphyseal growth plates get solidified quite fast when you have a lot of 17 alpha estradiol. Because 17 alpha estradiol promotes, at a very high concentration, the transformation of the chondrocytes of the plates into bone cells and bone matter, especially bone cells. The bone cells produce the bone matter, and then what it does, it solidifies your growth plates, and then you stop growing. And not only that, the 17 alpha estradiol will masculinize your bones, okay? And testosterone does the same thing, because through the alpha estrogen receptors, which are on the surface of the bones, and also especially the alpha testosterone has more receptors on the surface, okay, of the bones, but they have it throughout. Compared to 17 alpha, alpha estrogen receptors are mostly on the surface, okay? They're all like, I would say like 90, I would say almost, they're all on the surface of the bones, okay? And I'll come back. So acromegaly, what it does, okay, I'll show you. Okay. What does testosterone and 17 alpha estradiol do to your bones? Especially, even when you're in adulthood, okay? It makes you stop growing, and it makes you look like a dwarf, like a dwarf of Middle Earth or Mordor, okay, or Nork, okay. So basically, and also with the acromegaly, makes you look like a Nork, okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's. Okay, so where is the, there it is. Okay, now this is the bone. Okay, this is a cross section of the femur, okay? Okay, now I'm gonna go like this. Okay, and now this is the cavity of the bone, the center, the luminous center, and here's the surface of the bone. Okay, this is a very raw diagram, okay. And at the surface, you have the alpha receptors, okay, and also you have the testosterone receptors, okay. Testosterone tend to be changed more often, I would say 95% of the time, into the alpha 17 alpha estradiol, which means, in a sense, testosterone will promote the adding of bone layers on the surface. At the same time, okay, they have no. Here, you have the beta receptors in the middle, okay? Now, if you have a low count, hold on. Yeah. Okay. If you have lots of testosterone, that means you have less 17 beta estradiol. If you have less 17 beta estradiol, that means, okay, you're losing layers of bones here, okay, at the cortex. This is the cortex, okay. I didn't draw the part which is the cancellous bone part, or the spongial bone part. I didn't draw that. And this is the middle, this is the diaphyse, so it's in the middle of the bone. It's at the center of the length of the bone, okay? Now, so what happened is that when you have lots of testosterone, you lose surface from the inside. So eventually the surface gets the luminous area at the center of the bone gets bigger, okay? And here testosterone and 17 alpha estradiol adds layers. So what happened is that it adds layer, okay, to the bone. So there's like so basically the volume of the bone, without really thickening the cortex, the volume of the bone gets bigger. And this has a tendency to make transsexual men grow, and grow maybe 3 centimeters to 5 centimeters, or like 1 centimeters to 5 centimeters tops, okay. 1 centimeter to 5 centimeters, okay. So so this is what this is why you become masculinized. Okay, there's a also my first video, like I lose track on things. Okay, now the reason why it's important for this third, Naomi Renau has mentioned about drawing comic books, reading comic books, the sex comic book, drawing sex comic book, to alleviate the anxiety of try to lure or to harass girls or women. Okay, and also the second thing, to transition, it will lower your desire to try to live through the body of women. Okay, by stalking them, luring them, watching pornography, or even going to rape them. You'll be self-sufficient. You'll be erotically self-sufficient. That's the biggest that's the biggest reason why it's important for boys and men who love femininity, because they're living through the body of their wives or the body of the women that they stalk. Okay, or they rape, which is not good. Okay, so this is why it's important that they have a chance, they have the knowledge, and they have the right to transition. Okay, now I've mentioned vegetarian, and also vegetarians. Having a vegetarian, since you have very low, because of the when you're eating nuts, fruits, and vegetables, okay, you get proteins, but you just get the right amount, not to upsurge your testosterone in your body, and that creates like an over virilization of your body, and same thing as an acromegaly of your body, which and when you have acromegaly, the growth factors, you have like the bone, the bone growth factors also that comes into play. Okay, if when you up, so the bones will thicken your bones, and not only that, it will thicken the inside of it, so you'll tend to have like much wider cortex. Okay, just by the fact that you have more growth factors. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't make you like the Hulk. It doesn't make you completely it doesn't save you from bone breakage, because these molecules, the growth factors and testosterone and the 17 alpha estradiol, the way they lay out the bone matter is that they lay it out just mostly the mineral. They don't lay out the collagen, which is the flexible part. 17 beta estradiol tend to lay out the bone matter, the bone minerals, and also the collagen, which makes women's bone, they're smaller, they're thinner, but they're more flexible. So they're not brittle, they don't break. And as a matter of fact, more men who has a bone breakage, more of them died of bloodletting, of hemorrhagy. Okay, meaning because their bones are so big, there's like lots of veins, lots of arteries, so they lose more blood, and eventually that could kill them. Okay, so that's the rationale behind it. Okay, now okay, now the other reason, okay, just being vegetarian will do something. You just I'll show the data, I'll show the proofs and the data on that. Now the part of the transition is to allow the the cell, okay, of natural estrogen. Only estrogens, natural estrogens, only for boys, okay, from 13 for men from 13 years to and up, okay, and also like the pharmacist or the generalist will say natural estrogen, okay, are okay women's estrogens, estrogen, which is estradiol, estradiol is E2, estrone is E1, and westriol is E3. Okay, those are the actual bioidentical molecule, the actual estrogen molecule. Okay, that is built by the ovaries or the brain of the female brain, or the human brain or the human body. Okay, those are human estrogen. Okay, now you have the natural, which are the plant. As a matter of fact, westrone, all these three are found in plants. Westrone is found in pomegranates, okay, which is a fruit. Okay, it's in the seed. When you eat pomegranates, you ingest a lot of westrone, which westrone has a force of, I think it's 80% of estradiol, or 20%. I can't remember. Okay. Now you have the plants, natural estrogen plants. Okay, from plants. Those are the genistein. Those are the big ones. Diazein. You have the isolaricicinol. Okay, those are from soybean, and this one is from flax seeds. Okay, there's like several others. There's resveratrol, which is in the black raisins, or raisins, especially black raisins. Okay. These three are almost cycloisolaricinol and cycloisolaricinol has a force of 20% of estradiol, 17 beta estradiol. Okay, beta estradiol. And diazein and resveratrol has a force of 8. Cycloisolaricinol is 20%. Diazein and resveratrol is 80%, and genistein has a force of 100%. The same thing to link up, okay, to the estrogen receptors, okay, but the activation is different, okay. The activation goes from 1% to 20% for the plant, but 20%, even 1% is enough to feminize a man, is enough, or a boy, okay, or to lower these three by all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All these 7 molecules will tell the brain to stop producing testosterone or progesterone. Okay, so in a sense, it's an anti-androgen. It's a natural anti-androgen, and it's a natural anti-progesterone. It's a natural anti-androgen for boys. It's a natural anti-progesterone, and therefore an anti-feminizing effect for girls. Okay, so what it does, it curbs the feminization of girls. Okay, the girls could grow taller. In the forum, I've read a transsexual man, a young transsexual man of 15. He has he's only 5'8", 158 centimeters, which is not tall. It's about like 5 foot. But his twin sister is 172 centimeters, which she's about like 5'8", 5'7" or 5'8", okay? Her twin sister is taller. Her twin sister is vegetarian. She doesn't eat that much sugar stuff. The transsexual man eats lots of meat, lots of sugar, and he's short, okay? So that's the rationale. So what time is it? 1:35. So that's it for now. Did I forget something? Okay, whatever. Okay, that's it. Now, like I said, if boys have the right, all boys, I'll explain. Right now, that's not the case. It's not all boys who have the right to transition. They have no right to these three women's estrogen, okay, or an anti-androgen. Coming back, okay, oh yeah, to change sex, that's the most important thing, okay. What I meant by changing sex, I don't mean changing your organs, okay. Okay, I still got 10 minutes to explain, and I forgot them. I just remembered the last important thing to mention. Okay, now the primary. Okay, it's apparently the primary sex secondary. Traits, okay. The second. Oh, what am I doing? No, I'm just tired. Primary sex. Primary sex traits. Okay. I took it from the 1980 version. Okay. The secondary sex traits. Okay. Now, the primary are the X chromosome. Okay, the X chromosomes, the X. Okay, but actually, the chromosome is not important. Okay, because you could have this, and you could have this. But even that's not important. What's important, okay, I'll go even beyond that. It's what the doctor sees when you come out. When we come out of our mothers. When we come out of our mother, it's what the doctor sees or what everybody sees. Okay, if you have the genitals. Okay, this is the baby, it's the genitals. Okay, I don't know if I've done it right. There you go. It's really the genitals, okay? And this is because of the sex differentiating gene. And this gene it's mostly at 99.9%. It's on the Y chromosome, okay? But it can be passed on by recombination into the X genes. Okay, you could have a man that has the XX chromosome, but the man has a functional penis and has testicle and has a scrotum, okay, which the primary sex traits are this, because of this, okay. So, but it's the most important is there's this, and then from 0 to 7, 10 years ago, like people see you as the sex you are, either a girl or boy, a boy or girl, and you have the privilege of girls if you have the privilege of boys, and this is why the trans-exclusionary feminists are fighting about it. This is what I think, or I think unconsciously this is what they're talking about. Okay. So, but the most important is not they say the primary sex traits are the chromosome. No, they're not. It's this sex differentiating gene, okay, which is mostly on the Y chromosome, but because of recombination, it can end up on the X chromosome. Okay. The secondary characteristic are okay. Okay. It's, you could say the breasts, but the most important is this. Okay. The hip basin, the hip bones, and also maybe the long hair, but let's say the full set of hair. Okay. Okay. And the skin. Hairless, duvetté skin. Duvetté skin because we're all covered with like very fine white hair all through our skin. We need that, okay? The man is just, the difference is that some of these small, fine, hairy, small, fine white hair gets changed into black coarse hair, which is completely different, okay? This is because of testosterone, and testosterone tends to thickens the epiderm, which is the top part of the skin, and then you have the derm, and then at the bottom you have the fat layer, okay? For males, the fat layers almost disappear, okay? And this is produced, like the women has the women has all her fat goes at the third layer of her skin, which is the fat layer, all over. You know, the breast, the behind the buttocks, and inside her groin, especially inside her pubis, and also all throughout under the skin, which is the third layer. Okay. Men tend to collect inside, deep inside, which it winds also deep inside, also around the heart and the liver, okay, and also the neck, okay. But for boys to change sex, you have to exchange your secondary sex traits, okay. That's the most important thing, which is the skin. A feminine skin has a duvetté skin, which all the body hair is small, very thin white hair, transparent white hair. I would say transparent white hair. And they still have they regain the third fat layer, okay, which is which when they're boys, when they have lots of testosterone, it's like almost zero, okay? That will depend how old you are. That will depend how many stem cells you have left, okay? So the older you get, the less stem cells you have, and the less stem cells get to under the skin. You could, the chances are that you never regain that youthful look of your skin because of the third fat layer are important. It could be 50%, depending. It could go up from 10% to almost 99%. It's never 100%. Okay, and of course this is the most, and also the feminizing of the bones. The bones can change. Okay, as I mentioned, when you lower testosterone, okay, basically the upkeep of the surface of the bone minerals and collagen is not upkeep at all. So the osteoclast will take away all these layers because the testosterone and the 17 alpha estradiol do not maintain it. But the estrogen, the 17 alpha beta estradiol will promote the adding, okay, of layers from the inside cavity of your bone. So basically your bone will shrink. Okay, so this is why, and there are some data and agneducts that says that the hip bones can become feminized, but that depends by age. This can be modified. This is malleable until 30, but beyond 30, only maybe 2% still has some chondrocyte, still can have a modification by exchanging their hormonal between testosterone and 17 by putting down the testosterone and acquiring a lot of 17 beta estradiol. So this had happened. But the most important thing to become a woman, to change sex, it's not a vaginoplasty nor a phalloplasty. It's not that. It's not changing your organ. It's secondary sex traits, because this is what people see. They see the face. They see your facial, if you have no facial hair, if you have a full body hair, okay? Male pattern baldness is only partially reversible, okay? It's never, if you completely bald and you lower your testosterone to 0 and you have increased your 17 beta estradiol to women's level, you can have a regrowth between 5% to about 95%, but it's not everybody. But 0% and 100% do not exist. Just take that out of your mind. You will have a regrowth, but it could be only 2% to about 95%, and 2% is rare. 95% is even rarer. So most of the people, the majority will be between 20% to about 60% regrowth. Okay, so it's important to start your transition as young as possible, especially below 30. After 30, it's a little bit it's harder and it's heartbreaking. Okay, so that's it. Let's see here. An hour 49 minutes. Okay. So that's it for today, and I'll come back with other parts of that book and also the data. Bye.